Hi, I'm Parish President Cynthia Lee Sheng, and we want to welcome you to a new series we're starting. We're calling it the Next Level series. This is a series designed to highlight our directors. When we came in office, we had a new council, a new administration in 2020, and we really took a lot of time to assemble the right management team. The thing about what I call the next level is government doesn't have any competition. So I think it's easy to just take the work and do it, and you don't have competition constantly making you challenge yourself to make yourself better. And that is what I task our directors with, is challenging yourself, looking at the processes, taking the resources that we get and finding a better way, a more efficient way, a more creative way to deliver services to our citizens. We're really excited. If there's any innovation that comes from government, it's going to start at the director level. They are the personnel, they are our leadership team that understands what needs to be done, that understands, the hiccups in the system and sort of the roadblocks and how to fix that with their staff. Our council officers are just so extremely involved in everything. They have a lot of priorities, they have a lot of projects that they're trying to move forward, so we want to respond to them as quickly as possible, as well as serve all of our constituencies and the citizens of Jefferson Parish. So really this series is to highlight the directors that I believe are taking it to the next level. Again, not just doing the work that's assigned to them, but making it better and being more creative with their government. So with that, we started to look at the different management teams that we were going to highlight first, and I wanted to introduce you to Gretchen Hirt. Gretchen is our new, well, not so new, we're going into our second year, Public Information Officer. I did not know Gretchen before she was hired. Gretchen was, from a different world, not directly government, but public relations. I'm gonna let her give you her background, but the year of 2020 was really, really challenging, and the public information was so very critical to get out timely and accurate information while we were dealing with COVID, while we were dealing with all the storms. And I think her team, and she brought on some new team members, have just really excelled and taken it to the next level. So with that, I want to introduce Gretchen Hirt, our Public Information Officer.
Thank you, Parish President. This is exciting to finally be at this place to push out this Next Level series. I know it's something we've been talking about, we're really excited about. And so just a little bit, I guess, about my background. I came from a public relations, communications background. I worked in a PR agency as the director of public relations at a local agency. So coming into this new role, I was very excited. Definitely had the communications, background down, but I hadn't worked in government before. Sort of mentally prepared myself for hurricane season, thought that might be the biggest challenge that we would face. Little did I know, a few months into my new role, we'd be hit with COVID. And while this year has certainly presented, or this past year, its level of challenges, I do think, we have such a great team. From the leadership, my team is just extremely talented, it's smart and flexible. And, communications is so critical always, but I always say, especially during a crisis, communication is more imperative than ever. It's easy for misinformation to get out there, and so as the Public Information Office, we have really been tasked with making sure we're getting out accurate and timely information to the public surrounding COVID, the active hurricane season we dealt with in 2020, and just everything in between.
So I will say that, Gretchen, when we started, I would often look at you because you were always around the strategy table with us. You were brand new. You're probably still not even meeting all the directors that you were going to, at the beginning we were trying to get control of all of our Facebook pages through all our departments had. We were doing that, certainly the first level things that a new administration does, and then March 9th, it hit us. So talk about what the Public Information Office normally does and how you had to pivot in 2020 and how it gave you opportunities to really take it to the next level.
I would say this past year, certainly in communication, it's been exciting because we've been able to communicate in new ways. Coming into this role, and that's something that started with you, Parish President, you talked about, let's not just do things the way they had always been done in the past. Let's be innovative and let's really think outside of the box. And COVID forced us to do that in a very short period of time. So what my office is tasked with doing is informing informing the public. And we do that through a lot of different ways. We have many different channels that we run through my office. JPTV, we have jeffparish.net. We manage the website as well as our online television station. We have many different social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and that was a big focus of mine coming into this role and just ramping up our digital outreach in general. And certainly we had to do that even more so with COVID. And then just everything from media relations to community relations, anything you can think about of how we can best inform the public, that's what comes from my office. We work with both the administration side and the council side to do that. So again, new projects, exciting developments, anything that we think Jefferson Parish residents should really be aware of. This past year, we've had to, like many different organizations, take what we did virtual. A lot of the traditional ways that the PIO had to communicate, we couldn't do. So we couldn't gather for traditional meetings or groundbreakings or ribbon cuttings. So even council meetings, in the beginning of the year, the Jefferson Parish Council was one of the first, if not the first, I believe, in the state that brought their council meeting virtual. And so my team worked really hard with our information technology team to host that meeting virtually and to place it on all of our platforms. When we couldn't gather people together for groundbreakings or ribbon cuttings, we live streamed those events on Facebook, on our television channel, online. And I think the council offices as well as our directors were really appreciative of that, and that we were able to invite the public to be a part of something in a safe way. They didn't have to physically be gathered together, but we could communicate in a virtual way. And so we did a lot of that this past year.
Yeah, and you mentioned the council offices. I mean, you have 7 offices that each have their own priorities and each have their own deadlines that are trying to get information out too. So I think you all have done a really great job at pushing out maybe even people who wouldn't be able to go there anyway were able to see some of their initiatives as well.
Definitely, and again, the groundbreakings, the ribbon cuttings, we tried to think outside of the box too, in that, maybe this new project doesn't need a traditional groundbreaking. Let's put together a video that's really dynamic and engaging. And we saw so much excitement about that, so many hits on social media. And then even with you, Parish President, in the beginning, we hosted virtual events. So in the beginning of COVID, we did a prayer service. We brought, faith-based leaders from around the parish together, and I think people really needed that hope during that time. And that worked really well. We had a Cinco de Mayo virtual event, Veterans Day, Memorial Day. So just, again, thinking in terms of how can we best communicate in a way that everyone can be involved.
Right, and when we came in, we reorganized the organization chart, as I say, and we put people in what we call clusters of really smart ways of working, that you were communicating, the directors were communicating with each other, that they were able to form relationships and help each other solve problems. One of our new positions was Daniela Bayo, who's our cross-cultural coordinator, and we really wanted her to get out into and reach areas of the parish that maybe didn't know about government services. This was one of the areas we were trying to develop. And I think over the year, because of COVID and because of the storms and the need to just push out information, she has worked very closely with your team. So explain a little bit about Daniela's role.
She has been so great to work with. We've definitely been able to think of creative ways to get the word out to our non-English speaking residents. One thing that we did this past year is we launched JP Noticias. So we have the JP Alert text system, which we've certainly used a lot this year because of COVID. Everything from daily case numbers to test sites to food distribution, just getting that important information out to the community. So JP Noticias is the Spanish version of that. So Daniela has been very critical in that. Another thing that we were really excited to do is to add a widget to our website where we can translate the website in over 100 different languages, which I think is very exciting and needed, right? That was just a no-brainer, that it just hadn't been done before. And so everything from our press releases to our department pages, people can access that information in whatever language they need to. And then Daniela has been she's played such an important role at all of our press conferences. So we've had a lot of press conferences, more than I ever thought we would have in our first year, about COVID, about, during the storm season. And so she goes up to the podium, she translates all those press conferences, and I think that is certainly a needed resource and has been very valuable, especially for our Hispanic population, which is very large in the parish. Daniela also has come up with really creative video ideas. So in the beginning of COVID, we even, as we started transitioning from phase 1 to 2 to 3 to 2, it's very confusing for people. And so we wanted to highlight the businesses doing it right and who were really, taking all of those mitigation measures seriously. And so Daniela was involved in that. We did some videos in Spanish and we highlighted some Hispanic owned businesses. So that was really great as well.
And I really need to applaud you all. This was the year of the census, and with you and as well your team and Daniela, Addie was involved in that. Really, not just getting the information out, but really hitting the stores, hitting the churches, getting people. And I'm really proud of the fact that in Jefferson Parish, our response rate was higher than the last 10 years, higher than the state rate of self-response and higher than the national rate of self-response. So that was a big project for you all to take on and very important for us.
Daniela and Addie were so involved in that, and I want to give a shout out to my Deputy Public Information Officer Justin, because in the beginning we wanted to put together a whole comprehensive campaign for census. That was a priority first coming into this role before COVID hit. And so we were able to put together a graphic that Justin did for census. We did a really great video with the tagline of, coming together while being apart. And so that was kind of like a Zoom themed video about the census. We had a landing page that linked from our homepage. So we really ran a comprehensive campaign. Of course, Daniela and Addie were out at testing sites and at food distribution sites, signing people up on those iPads, but we were pushing out through all of our digital platforms and video as well, the importance of responding to the census.
So I think a lot of what you're talking about is COVID, us having to go through COVID accelerated a lot of the things that you probably had on your plate to try to bring the department to. And I think, 2021 we're anticipating and is going to be a very different year, a very hopeful year. I think we're really going to have a great year compared to last year. Talk to me and talk to everybody about some of the goals you have for 2021.
Social media was a big goal of mine. That's just such a low-hanging fruit in the way to reach our residents in a very, very quick way. And so because of COVID, I think people were really relying a lot on local government and information in general. And so we've seen such a tremendous growth across all of our social media platforms, which I hope to continue in 2021. That's certainly a goal of mine. So just some quick stats that I'm very proud of. So just this past year in 2020, we've had over 1,000% increase compared to last year in video views on Facebook. 160% increase of net followers on Facebook. We had an 864% increase in engagement. So that's not just people who are following us, but engaging with us, commenting, liking. I mean, we've definitely seen such a tremendous growth in social media in a way that our residents are interacting. So I want to take that to the next level in 2021. We also are working, we're very excited, we're building a studio space, and we're working on developing some more regular programming for our television channel and for social media, really bringing information to the public. We want to do director spotlights, series like the one we're doing right now, but also fitness classes and virtual story time, everything that maybe in the past people would come together in person to do. And certainly, we're still seeing some of that, and we're hopeful with the vaccine that we will be able to gather more. But I think if this past year has taught us anything, it's, how can we best provide services that anyone can access wherever they are, and if that's at home, then that's okay, and we can certainly do that. So I'm excited for this upcoming year. We have so much to look forward to, and in a lot of ways that we're planning to work with our directors, the council offices, to continue to communicate to the public.
Well, good. I think you can see how well our directors, what I'm saying is the next level, how we're going to really rely on our directors, and I know you can see with Gretchen's work this year how much we rely on their work. The council offices rely on the work of our directors, and really that is the reason we're having these next level series, is so that we can highlight our directors who really are the front line in getting the work done and getting government done in a creative way. So thank you for being the first director being willing to highlight your department. And we look forward to a better 2021, right?
Yep,
Yes.
we're looking forward to it.
Thank you, Gretchen. Thank you.